think about it for a second. Where would PlayStation be right now if not for Microsoft? Right now, take the fanboy goggles off, whether you're an Xbox fan or a PlayStation fan. Think about what I'm saying for a second. If Microsoft hadn't have been around at the beginning of this generation, or if they hadn't done what they did at the beginning of the generation, would Sony and the PlayStation even exist right now? But what I'm trying to get at is, if you think about it, and especially lately, Microsoft and Xbox saved PlayStation. And if you're a PlayStation fan, you should really be grateful to Microsoft and thank Microsoft for doing that, especially if you claim to love your brand as much as you claim to. So, hey, what's up everybody? Crapgamer here with Crapgamer Reviews, back with another video. Thank you guys for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button because I would appreciate that as well. Definitely means a lot to me. And, you know, if you hit that bell, you get notified of all the content as soon as it drops, and that would mean a lot to me as well. I really do appreciate it. So, thank you guys very much. Now, when I'm talking about this, it's not really to bash Sony or anything like that, but think about how last generation went. Now I'm talking PS3, Xbox 360. Xbox 360 was the darling. It couldn't do any wrong, even though it had Red Ring of Death, and, you know, that was something that Sony could have exploited. How can you exploit that when you've got a $600 console and no games? So it was really difficult. So Microsoft was the darlings of the entire industry. Sony did some good things there at the end by completely, drastically cutting the price of the PlayStation 3 numerous times, slimming it down numerous times, coming out with game after game after game, you know, doing their best to do what they could. Unfortunately, they suffered the PSN issues as well, which didn't help them. So they were losing a lot of money on the PlayStation 3. They lost a ton of money on the PlayStation 3, and that's just the facts. Now, when you look at Microsoft, they were riding high. And when you go into next generation, all the companies, EA, all these major companies were banking on Microsoft winning the generation and doing so handedly. That's why they were all backing Microsoft. If you look at the reveals, most of the big companies were backing Microsoft, not Sony, because Microsoft had done such a good job. And even though the PS3 tentatively caught up at the end, Microsoft did a huge deal by taking away all that market share, all that mind share, because when you've got 90% of the market and then lose so much of it, I think they were down to, what, 25% of the market, the PS3 era. In the US, it was even more. You know, so Microsoft really did a tremendous job of cutting into that. And so when we got into this generation, Microsoft put their own foot in their mouth. And would Sony even have survived if Microsoft would have just come out and said, okay, here's our box, it's this ultra powerful box, and we've got all these games, because Microsoft, let's face it, had the better lineup for the first couple of years. And if they would have came out at the same price and played multi-plats better and not stuck their foot in their mouth, what happens to Sony? Right? Nobody's thought about that. You know, I mean, think about that. And what if they, by evolution, still did all the stuff they currently are doing, but didn't do that catastrophic mess up at the beginning of the generation, right? I'm talking backwards compatibility, you know, the Xbox One X, Elite controllers, EA Access, Game Pass. Let's say they still did all that stuff and didn't mess up. Where would that put Sony? That would probably put Sony maybe on the outside completely looking in, right? Because let's face it, they put all their eggs in off-the-shelf parts, and they launched with Killzone and Knack, right? For the first couple years, people were talking about Resogun. So when you think about it, and now, even now, Sony has to counter and do what Microsoft does, because Microsoft is actually keeping Sony competitive. So next time you want to bash Microsoft, next time you want to bash Xbox, just remember, if it wasn't for Microsoft, there wouldn't be any PlayStation, most likely, in my opinion anyway, this generation. Like, they probably would have, like, there were rumors that they were going to go out of business within, what, 2 or 3 years or something like that, years ago. And because Microsoft's big blunders and things like that, Sony was able to capitalize on that. So think about that. These companies need each other, and I think Microsoft needs Sony, and I think they both need Nintendo. And it's just something like I wish more people saw. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Rack 'em up. Crapgamer, out.